Could you go to the next slide? Very briefly, I just want to talk about the 6 soldiers that were killed in action. Under my command, we were serving in 2007 and 2008. Dave Boris, Captain Dave Boris, West Point graduate. Dave was like a little brother to me. His soldiers genuinely loved him. One of the most sincere, genuine people, extraordinarily good at what he did. He was leading a patrol, and when his vehicle struck an improvised explosive device, and he was killed instantly along with Adrian Hike, Sergeant Adrian Hike. Adrian was one of the first soldiers that I had decorated with a medal. He had earned the Purple Heart in Iraq, and when we had come back from Iraq, I remember pinning the Purple Heart on Adrian. He had very severe post-traumatic stress. You don't come away from combat without some form of, without being affected by it. And that post-traumatic stress, he got in a lot of trouble. And got eventually busted down to private and worked his way back up. I said, because he was able to, he got the support that he needed to help him with the PT, with the post-traumatic stress. And he bounced back, and he bounced back stronger. And I couldn't have been more proud of anybody, of the 800 soldiers in that unit. And he was killed along with Dave. Tom Bostic was also a troop commander like Dave, in a big firefight on July 27th of 2007, the biggest one we had in the 15 months there. We had this firefight for about 3 or 4 hours in the morning. And I remember talking to Tom when there was a lull in the fight. And I asked Tom, I said, how are things going? And so he gave me a great update and told me what he was doing. And then there was like this silence throughout the mountain valley for about 90 minutes. And that's when I heard it. I heard this gigantic boom that echoes down the mountain valley. And all the fighting, came out with even greater intensity. And I looked, and then I heard a radio transmission that says, the CP's been hit. CP means command post. That meant Tom was under direct fire. And so I gave it some time because I didn't want to bother him when he's fighting for his life. And Bulldog 6, that was his call sign, Bulldog 6. I was Saber 6. Bulldog 6 is Saber 6. No answer. Bulldog 6 is Saber 6. Silence. Bulldog 6 is the Saber 6. Now, what I heard next, on the one hand, made me very proud. Dave's sergeants and his lieutenants coordinating with one another, calling in air and artillery strikes, taking the fight to the enemy, exactly how Tom taught them how to do it. And on the other level, I knew. And that boom, I can still hear it in my head right now. That boom was a rocket-propelled grenade that had killed Tom. When a big insurgent force came on his position, he directed the other 4 people of his command post to move to a different, more secure location. And Tom put himself in the line of fire so that they could get back to safety. And as he was engaging the enemy, that's when the grenade hit him, a rocket-propelled grenade hit him. He was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, which is our country's second highest medal for valor. Ryan Fritchey was killed that same day in that same firefight. He was a staff sergeant, and on his first patrol as a squad leader. He worked on the staff for a long time, and a very beloved person, and left behind his wife, Brandy. Jacob Lowell was our first soldier killed in action. He was a gunner on a Humvee, and in the firefight, he got hit in the leg, and instead of going down, he jumped back up on his machine gun and continued engaging the enemy, saving lives of his people in his platoon, and he was awarded the Bronze Star for valor. Our last soldier on the slide, Chris Pfeiffer, he was mortally wounded in August 25th of 2007. He was shot in an attack on one of the outposts, and it just missed his body armor, nicked his liver. And so Chris was bleeding. The medics were finally able to get him stable enough to fly him to our main outpost. And I remember helping carry the litter from the helicopter into our aid station and talking to him along the way. And he would look at me, but you could tell he looked where I was talking, but you could tell he couldn't see anything. In shock, loss of blood. Eventually lost so much blood that the doctors ran out of blood bags and had to call for people to donate blood. And we had about 40 soldiers in the outpost, O-negative blood types, all line up to donate blood to Chris. He stabilizes enough that we eventually get him to San Antonio. And on September 25th, he died of wounds. The next day, September 26th, his daughter Peyton was born. So those are the 6 people that I served with that were killed in action. Could you go to the next slide? I want to visit their grave sites, and I thought, I want to do something. I want to do something special. Yeah, I could drive to each one of them, but it just didn't seem right to me. So I decided I'm going to pedal a bike. I'm going to pedal a bike, and I'm going to visit each of their grave sites. And Chris Pfeiffer is buried in Spalding, Nebraska, and then all the way Tom Bostic in Arlington National Cemetery. It's 1,689 miles, at least by Google Maps. And so I'm going to undertake this in October of next year. And I also wanted to do something that not just a single event, but something that would hopefully be a part of their legacies. I spoke with Mary, and hey, Mary, if I did this and turned it into a fundraiser, would we be able to do a scholarship endowment in their names? And she said, yeah, we can make that happen. Go ahead with the next one. That's exactly what we're going to do is, put together this GoFundMe, Fallen Hero Honor Ride. And my goal is to be able to raise at least $100,000 for an endowment for the Milwaukee Rotary Club. So I want to take care of my community family, and then also $100,000 for a scholarship endowment with the 173rd Airborne. So I appreciate Mary allowing me to do this, to help do something positive for Milwaukee and honor their legacies in that way. And at $100,000, that'll be in perpetuity. So if that's something of interest, thanks. So please feel free to share that. I've been training. That's a long ways. And fortunately, I've got some good advice and support. I'll keep you informed about how that goes. But I want to thank you for your attention and support through all of that and through this afternoon. Thank you very much for this opportunity.